December always shows up like it owns the place. One day it's wet gray sidewalks and people acting like winter is a personal insult. And the next day the whole city is wearing glitter and pretending we're all one carol away from emotional healing. Lights wrapped around trees, fake snow sprayed on shop windows, ads screaming about the perfect gift, like some overpriced object can patch over 2 years of silence and eye rolls. And, like an idiot with a functioning heart, I still thought, maybe this year will bring us back. I know how that sounds. Save your laughter. I'd laugh too, if it wasn't my life. Amanda used to love New Year's. Not the shallow, I want photos for social media kind of love. The real one. The kind where she'd hum while pulling out the decorations, wearing one of my old hoodies, hair in a messy knot, cheeks pink from the cold air sneaking through the window. She used to turn our living room into a warm, glowing little world, like we were building something together, like we were a team. Back then, she'd look at me with that, "we're doing this," sparkle in her eyes. Now? Now she looked at her phone like it was the only thing on earth worth holding. The first week of December, I started trying again. Not in a desperate way, not in a please love me way. More like, I'm your husband. Let's act like a couple before we turn into roommates with a shared Netflix account. Hey, I said one evening, leaning into the kitchen doorway. We should go for a walk. They decorated the main street. It's actually kind of nice. Amanda didn't look up from her screen. That was it. The sound of a door gently closing in your face. I walked in and leaned on the counter, watching her thumb scroll like her life depended on it. You didn't even hear me. I heard you, she said, still not looking up. What did I say? She sighed, finally glanced at me like I'd interrupted something sacred. You said, lights, or something. I smiled a little because if I didn't, I'd start asking questions that would ruin the rest of my month. Yeah, lights, or something. Her phone screen tilted away from me by half an inch. Not dramatic, just enough to be intentional. It was subtle, professional even, the kind of movement you don't notice unless you're living inside it. Who are you texting so intensely? I asked casually, like a normal person, not like a man collecting little pieces of his marriage off the floor. No one, she said. The classic, no one, in modern marriage language translates to, someone you're not allowed to know exists. I nodded, like I accepted that. Cool. Then I walked away, because I'm not the kind of guy who begs for access to a phone. I'm the kind of guy who notices patterns and keeps receipts, metaphorically and sometimes literally. By mid-December, her mood became sharp. Everything I did was either too much or not enough. If I tried to be affectionate, she was tired. If I gave her space, I was distant. If I asked how her day was, I was interrogating her. I was apparently married to a woman who could turn any sentence into a crime. One night, I sat on the couch and patted the cushion beside me. Come here, I said. Just sit with me. She stood in the hallway, arms crossed, phone in hand. I'm exhausted. You've been exhausted for 3 years. Her eyes narrowed. Are you trying to start something? I leaned back, calm. No, I'm trying to sit next to my wife on a couch. Wild concept. She stared like I'd suggested we move to Mars and build a house out of cheese. I don't have the energy for this. For what? Sitting? For you. She waved her hand vaguely, like I was a category of inconvenience. For your moods. I almost laughed. My moods. Right. Because I was the emotional problem. Not the woman who treated her husband like a pop-up ad. I held up both hands. Okay, got it. No couch crimes tonight. She walked off, already typing. The moment she turned the corner, her posture changed. Lighter. Faster. Like the exhaustion had a built-in off switch. Funny how that works. Still, I kept going. Not because I was weak. Because I was trying to be fair. I wanted to enter the holidays knowing I'd done my part. That way, no matter what happened, I wouldn't have to live with the question, Did I give up too early? So I started planning her gift. I didn't just grab something random off a shelf and call it romance. I paid attention. I remembered the things she'd said months ago in passing, like how she missed having nice earrings, how she hated cheap perfume, how she liked those ridiculously soft scarves that felt like a cloud. I went to 3 different stores, walked around like a man on a mission. At one shop, a teenage employee asked if I needed help. "I'm buying for my wife," I said. He gave me a look that was half sympathy, half respect, like I'd told him I was going to war. "Good luck, sir." "Thanks," I said. "If I don't make it, tell my story." I finally found something that felt right. Not flashy, not performative, just thoughtful. The kind of gift that says, "I know you." I stood in the store holding the box, thinking, I want her to feel warm with me on New Year's. Yes, I know. The clown makeup was already forming on my face. A few days later, I came home early. The apartment smelled faintly like cinnamon, which should have made me happy. Instead, it made me suspicious. Cinnamon was never casual in this house. Cinnamon was an event. I stepped into the living room and stopped. On the table were bags, not grocery bags, not, I grabbed a couple things bags. Expensive bags. Thick paper, branded ribbon handles. The kind of bags people reuse because throwing them away feels illegal. Next to them were boxes, neatly stacked, wrapped in tissue paper like they were being prepared for a museum exhibit. For a second, my heart actually lifted. Maybe she did it. Maybe she planned something. Maybe she remembered who we used to be. Amanda appeared in the doorway, phone in hand, of course. Her eyes flicked to my face, then to the table, and her whole body went guarded, like a cashier when you approach with a cart full of items and no wallet. "What's all that?" I asked, keeping it light. "Somebody planning to spoil me?" Her jaw tightened instantly. "Don't touch those." I blinked once. "Okay, I wasn't going to." "It's a surprise," she snapped. "So don't." The word surprise came out like a threat. I held up my hands, palms open. All right, I'm not touching your sacred packages." She stared at me like she expected an argument. I didn't give her one. I just smiled. Not soft, not needy, more like noted. "Cool," I said. "Surprise? Love surprises." She didn't smile back. She walked past me, scooped up one of the bags with a bit too much urgency, and carried it into the bedroom. Then came back and casually sat down like nothing happened, already scrolling again. Like the bags weren't a glowing neon sign in the middle of our apartment. I stood there for a moment, trying to keep my brain from sprinting into conclusions. Then I told myself the lie good husbands tell themselves when reality is uncomfortable. Maybe it's for you. Maybe she's actually trying. And because I wanted that to be true, I let myself believe it. That night, while she was in the shower, I wrapped her gift in the nicest paper I could find. I even added a ribbon. I'm not a ribbon guy. I'm more of a box and tape man. But I did it anyway, because it mattered to her. At least it used to. Amanda walked into the living room wearing her robe, hair damp, phone already in her hand like it was part of her anatomy. "What's that?" she asked, nodding at the gift box. I didn't flinch. I didn't hide it. "For you," I said. "New Year's." She looked at it for half a second. "Okay." Then her eyes returned to her phone. No curiosity, no awe, no playful attempt to shake it and guess. Just, okay. Like I'd told her the trash was taken out. I watched her for a moment and felt that familiar quiet heat in my chest. The one that isn't anger yet, but is definitely not peace. I'm not a guy who needs fireworks. I'm not needy. But I'm also not blind. Something was happening in my house, in my marriage, in my wife. And the closer we got to New Year's, the more it felt like I was the only one showing up. Still. I told myself, just get to the gift night. Just get there. Maybe that's when she turns back into her. The city outside was glowing with lights. Inside our apartment, it felt like the bulbs were decorative only, no warmth attached. And on the table, those expensive bags waited, quiet, perfect, like they were holding their breath. New Year's Eve finally arrived the way it always does. Loud outside, quiet inside. The city sounded like it was throwing a parade for itself. Firecrackers popped in the distance. Somewhere, a neighbor was blasting music that made me wonder if their speakers were held together by duct tape and spite. Inside our apartment, the tree glowed like it was trying its best to compensate for the emotional climate. Amanda insisted we do a quiet night. No guests, no friends, no noise, which sounded romantic in theory. In practice, it felt less like cozy intimacy and more like two people trapped in a decorative showroom. She sat on the couch with her phone. I sat on the other end of the couch like a man sharing a bench at the DMV. I tried to kick things off. "All right," I said, rubbing my hands together. "Gift time?" She didn't look up. "Sure." The word had all the excitement of someone agreeing to pay a parking ticket. I stood and walked to the table. My gift to her was already there, wrapped, ribboned, painfully optimistic. Her gift to me was also there. A small plastic shopping bag. Not even a gift bag. Not a box. Not a ribbon. A bag you'd get if you bought toothpaste and regret. My stomach did a tiny, quiet backflip. Okay, I told myself. Maybe it's something small inside something small. I picked up her bag. It was light. It made that faint, crinkly sound of cheap plastic. My brain started negotiating. Maybe it's a keychain. Maybe it's tickets. Maybe it's a confession of love written on a tiny scroll. Amanda finally glanced at me. "Hurry up," she said. "Before midnight." Before midnight. Right. Because gifts were a task we had to finish before the clock punched out. I turned to her gift first. Not because I was desperate. Because I wanted to keep the moment clean. No accusations. No edge. Just a normal exchange. I handed her the box. "Here," I said. "I actually thought about it, so don't throw it at me if you hate it." She smirked faintly, like she was amused by the idea of me trying. She took it, unwrapped it without any playful drama, and opened the lid. These were elegant white gold earrings, chosen to suit her taste. I watched her face like a man watching a judge read a verdict. She stared at the item for a second. Then she smiled. Polite, small, controlled. "Oh," she said. "Nice. Nice. Not, 'I love it.' Not, 'How did you remember?' Not, 'This is so me.' Just nice." Then she closed the box and set it on the side table like it was something she'd deal with later. Like a coupon booklet. I waited, hoping for a second wave. A laugh. A hug. Something. Nothing came. She was already reaching for her phone again, like the moment had ended because she'd said the required word. I let out a breath through my nose. Okay, that was a thing. Then she nudged the plastic bag toward me with her foot. "Your turn." I picked it up slowly. "You went with the mysterious grocery bag aesthetic," I said, trying to keep it light. No reaction. I opened it. Inside was a pack of men's underwear. 3 pairs. Gray. The kind of gray that says, "I have given up on joy." The packaging had one of those aggressive labels. Men, comfort fit, active. Like it was trying to convince me underwear was a lifestyle. For a second, I genuinely thought she was messing with me. Like she was going to laugh and say, "Relax, your real gift is..." But she just sat there, blank-faced, staring at her screen as if she'd handed me a winning lottery ticket. I looked at the pack again, then at her, then back at the pack. Wow, I said, because English doesn't have a better word for, "My wife just handed me chores." She looked up, irritated already. "What?" I held the underwear up like evidence in a courtroom. "These are very breathable." She exhaled dramatically. "Oh my God." I kept my voice calm. I didn't snap. I didn't raise it. "Are you serious? This is my gift?" "Yes," she said, like I was being slow on purpose. "What's wrong with it?" I stared at the pack, then back at her. I could have been cruel. I could have gone straight for the throat, but that's not how I operate. I operate like a man who wants to be sure he isn't insane before he sets fire to the house. So I tried the soft approach. Not weak? Soft? Nothing's wrong with underwear, I said. It's just, I thought we were doing, gifts, like actual gifts. She narrowed her eyes. It is a gift. Right, I said. Technically, a fire extinguisher is also a gift. She frowned. What is that supposed to mean? It means it's practical. I forced a small smile. Like socks or a plunger. Her eyes flashed. A plunger? I shrugged. I'm just saying, it feels less like I love you and more like your drawer is running low. She sat up straighter. I could feel it. This was the moment her mood turned into a weapon. You always do this, she said. I blinked once. Do what? Make everything a problem. I actually laughed, quietly, because the absurdity was too perfect. I opened a pack of underwear, I said. The problem introduced itself. Her expression hardened. Do you know how ungrateful you sound right now? And there it was. The trapdoor. She leaned forward, voice colder. You're spoiled. You're so spoiled. I kept my tone even. Amanda, I'm not asking for a yacht. I'm saying, it feels impersonal. She scoffed. Impersonal? Yes. It's underwear, she snapped. You need underwear. I nodded slowly. Correct. I also need toilet paper. She slapped her hand on the couch cushion. Can you stop being dramatic? I'm being dramatic, I said, still calm, but my patience had started packing its bags. She pointed at me like she was scolding a child. You're acting like I did something awful. I bought you something useful. Useful, I repeated. That's the bar now. She rolled her eyes. You think you're entitled to some fantasy gift? I stared at her. Fantasy gift, I echoed. Like effort? Her jaw tightened. I work all the time. I'm tired. And instead of appreciating anything, you pick at it. I leaned back because I could feel my brain switching from husband to witness. Okay, I said. Let me say it clearly. I appreciate that you got me something. I just thought it would be more personal. That's all. She laughed, a short, cutting sound. Personal? You want me to read your mind? I'm your husband, I said. Not a stranger you grabbed underwear for at a gas station. Her eyes narrowed, and now she was fully armed. You're unbelievable. I said. I'm still processing the romantic power of comfort fit. Her voice rose. You are so ungrateful, so selfish. I didn't flinch. I watched her. Watched the way her face looked almost relieved, like she'd been waiting for an excuse to unload. You know what? She said. You ruined it. You ruined the whole moment. I stared at her. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't insulted her. I hadn't thrown the gift. I had simply noticed. And that was apparently illegal. She continued, voice sharp and fast now. You always do this. You always find something wrong. Normal men are happy to get anything. Normal men. There it was. The control phrase. The stamp that says, you're not allowed to feel what you feel. I kept my voice quiet. So I'm abnormal because I expected my wife to know me? Her eyes flashed. Don't twist it. I'm not twisting anything, I said. I'm asking why this feels like you didn't even try. She snapped back instantly. I don't have to prove myself to you. Then, with that same cold certainty she used when she wanted to end a conversation, you're lucky you got anything at all. Lucky. I nodded slowly. Not because I agreed, because I felt something click into place. That quiet internal sound when a man realizes he's been arguing with a person who doesn't care about the truth, only about winning. Amanda leaned back, arms crossed, like she'd just delivered a perfect speech. You're impossible, she said. You take every good thing and poison it. I looked down at the underwear pack in my hands. 3 gray pairs, comfort fit, active, the kind of underwear you buy when you're stocking a bunker. And I thought, so this is what I am to her now. Not a man, not a husband, a drawer that needs maintenance. I placed the pack carefully on the table, not dramatically, not angrily, just neatly, because I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of chaos. Then I looked at her and said calmly, I didn't poison anything. I just pointed at what it was. Her eyes narrowed like she wanted to escalate, but I was done feeding it. I stood up. "Happy New Year," I said, with a small, dry smile. "May all your surprises be this romantic." She scoffed. "Oh my God, you're such a jerk." I nodded. "Sure. Because it's amazing how fast you become the villain the moment you stop playing the fool." For the next hour, we existed in the same room like strangers waiting for a delayed flight. The countdown on TV began. People screamed. Confetti fell. Amanda watched her phone more than the screen. I watched her. And I noticed things. The way her fingers moved faster when she thought I wasn't looking. The way she tilted her screen away. The way she smiled, small, private, at something I didn't get to see. At midnight, the fireworks outside exploded like the sky was celebrating freedom. Amanda didn't kiss me. She didn't even look at me. She just said flatly, "Happy New Year." I raised an invisible glass. "Same," I said, and I meant it in the most literal way possible. After New Year's Eve, our apartment went quiet in a way that felt intentional, not peaceful, not calm, strategic. Amanda moved through the space like I was a lamp she hadn't decided whether to unplug yet. Polite, distant, efficient. We didn't argue, which, in hindsight, should have terrified me more than shouting ever could. Because when a woman stops fighting, it usually means she's already finished the conversation somewhere else. One afternoon, a few days after New Year's, I went to grab a hoodie from the storage closet. The one place in the apartment where things went to die slowly under winter coats and forgotten bags. I opened the door. And there it was. A box. Not hidden, not buried. Just placed. Like someone had meant to deal with it later and forgot. I stared at it for a second. Same thick cardboard. Same expensive texture. Same kind of ribbon I'd seen on those bags weeks ago. My first thought wasn't, "Oh shit." My first thought was actually, that's careless. I picked it up. It had weight. Solid. Confident weight. The kind of weight underwear does not have. I didn't open it right away. I just stood there, holding it, feeling that quiet pressure build behind my eyes. The one that says something is about to rearrange your life. Then I opened it. Inside was a men's sweater. Expensive, soft, and very clearly not bought in the same $5 aisle as my underwear. Not generic, not practical, stylish. And here's the important part. Not for me. Wrong size, wrong style, wrong everything. I'm not vague about who I am. I don't suddenly wake up wanting things I've never liked. I don't have secret alter egos. This wasn't a mistake. This was personal. The packaging was careful, thoughtful. The kind of thing you wrap when you want someone to feel seen. There was even a small card tucked inside. No name on it. Just handwriting. Neat. Intentional. I didn't read it yet. I didn't need to. Because the message was already loud enough. This wasn't random. This was someone. And whoever he was, he got more thought than I did. I stood there in the closet, holding proof like a man holding a photograph he didn't ask for. And the strangest thing happened. I didn't feel angry. I felt calm, cold, like my brain finally had permission to stop negotiating with hope. I placed the box back exactly where it had been. Didn't move a ribbon, didn't change a thing, because I wasn't about to confront her like a jealous teenager. I wanted to see what she'd do when facts entered the room. That evening, Amanda came home late. Not suspicious late. Just late enough to come with excuses preloaded. "You eat?" she asked, dropping her bag. "Yeah," I said. Didn't wait. She nodded, relieved. "Good. I'm exhausted." "Of course you are." She went to the kitchen, poured herself water, didn't look at me. I watched her like a man watching a magician, curious to see which lie would come first. She didn't offer anything. So I did. "Hey," I said, casual, too casual, the kind of tone that makes people nervous. She glanced over. "What?" I stood up and walked to the closet, picked up the box, walked back, and placed it gently on the table between us. No slam, no theatrics, just Evidence. Her eyes dropped to it instantly. And there it was. That microsecond. That tiny, delicious crack in composure. She recognized it. Immediately. Her pupils tightened. Her jaw stiffened. "What's that?" she asked. I smiled a little. "You tell me." She frowned. "Why are you going through my things?" Ah, there it is. Step 1. Redirect. "I wasn't," I said. "It was sitting in the open, in our house. Last I checked, I live here." She crossed her arms, defensive already. "So? What, now you're inspecting boxes?" I tapped the lid once with my finger. "I just want to know something simple." She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, here we go." I kept my voice even. "Who is this for?" Silence. Not the comfortable kind, the error message kind. She stared at the box like it had personally betrayed her. Then she laughed. A quick fake laugh. "You're being ridiculous." I nodded. That didn't answer the question. She picked up the box, flipped it slightly like she might find an escape hatch on the bottom. "It's nothing." "Cool," I said. "Then tell me who it was for." She sighed, loud and theatrical. "It was for work." I tilted my head. "For who at work?" She hesitated, just a beat too long. "For someone." "Ah yes, someone. My favorite coworker." "What kind of someone?" I asked. She shifted her weight. "Why are you interrogating me?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't move closer. I just looked at her. "Because you bought me underwear," I said calmly. "And this looks like effort." Her eyes flashed. "There it is," she snapped. "You're still on that?" "I'm not on anything," I said. "I'm connecting dots." She scoffed. "You're paranoid." I smiled faintly. Paranoid men don't usually find boxes. Her breathing changed. Faster now. She put the box down harder than necessary. "It was for my boss." I raised an eyebrow. "Your boss?" "Yes," she said quickly. "From the team. We pitched in." I nodded slowly. "Interesting," I said. "Because it's one item. Wrapped. With handwriting." She froze. I continued, voice still level. "Also, your boss is a woman." That one landed. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Then tried again. "Okay, fine. It was for a colleague." "Which one?" "Why does it matter?" "Because," I said softly, "it matters to me." She stared at me like I'd just crossed an invisible line. "You're being controlling," she snapped. I laughed once. Not loud. Just a breath. "Control would have been checking your phone," I said. "This is just asking." She stepped back. "You're exhausting." I nodded. "So I've heard." She grabbed the box and held it against her chest like it needed protection. "You wouldn't understand anyway." That was the sentence. The one that didn't need a follow-up. I looked at her. Really looked. And asked the question that had been waiting patiently in my mouth. "Why have you never bought me something like that?" Her face hardened. She didn't hesitate this time. Didn't flinch. Didn't pretend. She just said it. Flat. Clean. Final. "Because you wouldn't appreciate it." I let the silence stretch. Then I nodded. Slowly. Not because I agreed, but because I finally understood. I walked past her. Didn't take the box. Didn't say anything dramatic. I just went to the bedroom and closed the door behind me. No slam. No tears. Just distance. And from the other side of the door, I heard her mutter something under her breath. Not an apology. Not even regret. Just annoyance. Like I'd made her evening inconvenient. I lay down on the bed and stared at the ceiling. And the thought came, clear and sharp. I wasn't betrayed tonight. I was replaced earlier. Tonight I just stopped pretending otherwise. The morning after that conversation felt strangely normal. No slammed doors. No icy silence. No dramatic tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Just coffee. Just movement. Just the quiet aftermath of something that had already ended. Amanda walked around the apartment like nothing had happened, like words hadn't landed, like clarity hadn't arrived. She hummed while pouring coffee. Hummed. That was when I knew. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was maintenance. I didn't confront her again. I didn't ask questions. Questions are for people who expect answers. I had moved on to something far more efficient. Observation. I noticed how she started locking her phone now. Not consciously, reflexively. I noticed how her mood spiked when messages came in and dropped when they didn't. I noticed the timing, late meetings, team dinners, just tired. Funny how exhaustion always followed happiness. One evening she went to shower and left her phone face down on the counter. Unlocked. I didn't plan to check her phone. I wasn't sitting there thinking, tonight's the night I become that guy. I didn't wake up with suspicion. Suspicion had already finished its job. I needed confirmation. I stood there for a second. Not dramatic, not shaking. Then I picked it up. I didn't scroll, didn't dig, didn't need to. The last open conversation was still there. A man's name I didn't recognize. Miss you already. That sweater looked better on you than I imagined. That was enough. I checked the dates. They matched the dinners, the late meetings. I checked the photos. One, not explicit, just a mirror shot, him in the sweater. I locked the phone and put it back exactly where it was. Because once you see something clearly, theatrics become unnecessary. She came out of the shower 10 minutes later. Hair wrapped, skin warm, relaxed. We need to talk, I said. She froze. Not outwardly, but internally. You can tell when someone's running damage control before the damage is named. About what? She asked, already defensive. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't sit down. I checked your phone, I said calmly. Her face changed instantly. Not shock, recognition. You had no right, she started. I lifted a hand. Don't, I said. We're past that part. She crossed her arms. You invaded my privacy, I nodded. And you outsourced the marriage. Silence. Heavy. Immediate. She tried to recover. It's not what it looks like. I smiled faintly. It looks like a man wearing a sweater you bought him. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried something else. It didn't mean anything. I shook my head. You don't plan meetings, clothes, and time for things that mean nothing. She sighed, irritated now. You're exaggerating. No, I said. I'm summarizing. She leaned against the counter like she was tired of the conversation already. So what? She said. You're just going to throw everything away? I looked at her. I didn't, I said. You did. Gradually. She scoffed. Over a sweater? I smiled. No, I said. Over effort. She rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. I tilted my head. You gave me underwear, I said. You gave him warmth. That's not drama. That's math. She didn't answer. Didn't deny it. Didn't apologize. That told me everything I needed to know. I grabbed my jacket. Her eyes widened slightly. You're leaving? She asked. Yes. Now? Yes. She laughed once, sharp, disbelieving. You're really doing this? I nodded. I'm not interested in competing for my own wife. She stepped toward me. We can fix this. I stepped back. No, I said. You already fixed it, for yourself. She stared at me, searching for something emotional to grab onto. Anger, guilt, fear. There was nothing there. At the door, I paused, not for closure, for accuracy. I hope the sweater fits, I said evenly. You clearly put thought into it. Her face tightened. I opened the door. No slam, no speech, just exit. Outside, the air felt sharper, cleaner. And the thought settled in, simple and undeniable. I didn't lose my wife suddenly. I just stopped ignoring the replacement process. People love to ask what happened after, as if there's always a dramatic sequel, as if betrayal needs fireworks to feel complete. It doesn't. She called the next day, not in panic, calculated. Can we talk? She asked, like the house hadn't already answered that question. No, I said, not angry, not sarcastic, just factual. There was a pause on the line. You're really doing this, she said, not a question. Yes. She didn't apologize. That's the part people find surprising. She explained instead, explained how it just happened, how it wasn't serious, how she felt unseen, all the classics. A greatest hits album. I let her talk. Because explanations are useful. They show you how someone plans to rewrite the ending. She tried again a week later, this time softer, warmer. She said she missed what we had. She said she was confused. She said she didn't expect me to actually leave. That one was my favorite. I thought you'd be upset, she admitted. Not gone. I smiled to myself when she said that. Apparently, my role in the marriage had been reduced to background noise with feelings. I told her something she didn't expect. You didn't lose me when I left, I said. You lost me when you decided effort was wasted on me. She was quiet after that. Real quiet. Mutual friends reached out. Carefully, they always do. They asked if I was okay, if I was handling it, if there was more to the story. I told them the truth, not the dramatic version, the accurate one. She replaced me before she cheated, I said. The rest was just scheduling. Most of them nodded. A few went quiet. Those were the ones who already knew. I didn't rush into anything. No revenge dating, no motivational gym montages, no speeches about becoming a better man. I just stopped negotiating my worth. The funny thing is, she didn't spiral. She adjusted. People like her always do. She moved on quickly, posted pictures, smiled publicly. I recognized that smile. It was the same one she used the night she said, "You wouldn't appreciate it." The smile of someone convinced they made the right trade. As for me, for the first time in a long while, nothing felt missing. That's when it hit me. I hadn't been abandoned that night. I'd been released. Some people lose marriages, others escape slow erasure. I didn't get cheated on in one moment. I got downgraded over time. The underwear just made it obvious. And once you see that clearly, you don't chase explanations, you don't ask for closure, you leave, and you don't look back. If you felt this story hit hard, drop a like, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps Steelheart beating.